Hello, Space Cowboys, and if you're wondering why I'm whispering, it is 2:20 in the morning, the day after Horizons got released. My wife is asleep, she has work in the morning, but listen, you want to know everything about planetary landings, right? It came out, I'm going to be the first one to release a guide, and a lot of the stuff I'm going to teach you is going to be the stuff that you've been wanting to know. So let's get straight onto the quick guides and go through all of the basics and all of the things I figured out about planetary landings, and then we'll go on to some of the things, some of the features that you can see are placeholders and actually don't do anything yet, but I'll speculate what I think they're going to be. So yeah, and feel free to check the description, because the description has basically links to all the different sections of this video, so you can skip straight to the bit you want. Okay, now comes to my absolute favourite bit, landing on planets. I'm so happy I get to do this. It adds, like, I can't even explain the amount of immersion it's going to add to this game. Already just trying it on 2 different planets has just blown me away. Basically, how it works is you approach a planet from Super Cruise, you're slowing down, and then when you get close enough, as you see, it says dropping from orbital cruise mode, which basically means, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know what that means. And then it says glide engaged, so basically switching to normal flight mode, which operates exactly like normal flight does, although with a few caveats I'll get onto. A couple of tips: you don't want to be going too fast, you want to slow down right to the bottom of Super Cruise as you approach the planet, because if you're going too fast you will drop, emergency drop too far away, a few hundred kilometers, too far to glide in, so then you just have to wait for your FSD to cool down, and plus you take damage, and FSD takes ages to cool down and it's pointless. So yeah, you want to slow down nicely and neatly until you hit the zone where it switches like before, and then you can fly to land. And yeah, it's amazing. The first planet I obviously had to land on was the moon of New Africa in Epsilon Indi, which is called Mitterrand Hollow. I think it's famous among people that it spins around its planet about once every minute and a half, and if you look at the sky, it's just got this big planet going around it. It's beautiful. So yeah, we're coming into land slowly, and that's how you want to do it. And you want to enjoy, obviously, the sense of immersion of seeing that planet come in, seeing the surface features resolve themselves, and get a sense of the scale. If you're using the Oculus Rift, you're going to be blown away. I'm telling you, it runs pretty well on the Oculus Rift, depending on what planet you're on. That first one that I showed was horrible, so I didn't even bother with that. But this one worked really well. This Mitterrand Hollow. I highly suggest you come here and watch that planet circling. Oh, and as you can see, it's gone pitch black, which is awesome. There's an eclipse of the planet and the sun, and then it goes day again. As you can see, it's in a great place to come. I highly recommend you come here just to see that amazing sky. Okay, a quick pointer about landing. I've got flight assist off, which really is fun, but you need to bear in mind that gravity is going to be pulling you down. Alright, and now the way landing works is that you need to take out your landing gear as you get close to the ground, and then once that is out, you will see that the radar will change to the typical landing mode, as you'll see now. And then you'll see some red lines, some red text in the middle, which basically says unsuitable terrain until you are above the right kind of terrain. It'll go blue like that, say alignment OK, when you are properly aligned. And then you just go down and it will automatically dock, and here comes the planet. Just to say hi, and it's nighttime again. Isn't that so awesome? Couple more tips. Sometimes it's hard to find that sweet spot where you can land, so you just got to use your thrusters until eventually you'll find it. Usually there's a nice spot somewhere for it to land, and it will go blue eventually, so don't give up. And also pay very close attention to that alignment OK sign, because if that's not there, even though it's blue, you're going to hit the ground hard and not actually connect, so just make sure it says alignment OK. And then you can look down at that panel between your legs, that new one, and click deploy, and then you switch into your buggy. And now let's talk about how to use the buggy. That first moment when the buggy starts to lower down in the Oculus Rift, and that switch, and then you touch down on the planet and the wheels pop out. It is incredible. You're finally driving around on the planet. It's the best feeling ever. The buggy feels great. The gravity is always there. You can see the gravity number. It's one of those 3 numbers at the bottom right of the display next to your hologram. You've got your fire groups, which you need to know about because you've got weapons. We'll go into those in a second. And here's another useful tip as well. You need to dismiss your ship, which basically makes it go bugger off somewhere, so it's protected, and then it will come when you call it. And yeah, drive around a planet and enjoy. Set the controls right so you know what everything does. The steering, weapons, and switching to the turret mode, which basically turns it into a tank, which you control this turret, which is the guns, independently, and you get those the shields and the hull and all that, while still being able to operate the vehicle. It really just feels like a tank. It's great. And you've got pips as well, which you can manipulate. And yeah, just bear in mind the buggies are very, very flimsy. They can still take hull damage even when the shields are up, especially from falls and bumps and scrapes. And I blew my first one up within about 10 seconds. It was ridiculous. So just be warned about that. It doesn't seem to be any boost, but that could come in later. I think there was talk about a boost. And just make sure also you use the vertical thrust, which basically is like a little boost that only lasts for a few seconds and it sort of recharges. I don't know where the recharge bar is, but recharges after about, say, 3 or 4 seconds. And it can be used to streamline your jumping around, as well as breaking your falls, because, you know, as I say, falls can cost you hull damage. So yeah, that is basically all the things you need to know about the buggy. And this is how you shoot around with it. And there's carnage with the buggy that I have left behind. Those sentry turrets have given me a bounty. I don't really know the mechanics behind that because they seem to be a placeholder at the moment. And look at how those bullets seem to ricochet off things. It's really cool. It's a really nice new set of mechanics. I can see it's got a long way to go in terms of features. There's loads more to add. Loads more, and I know they're going to add it. But this is a great start, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, starting with outfitting, there's a couple of things that you are going to need as a planetary lander. The first one is the Planetary Approach Suite, which is down here. It's got a compartment of its own, and as you can see, it's pretty cheap. It only seems to come in one size, even though it does say the class goes all the way up to 8. I'm not really sure if that's for some future kind of work going on. As you can see, I'm outfitting the new ASP Scout, which is a new vehicle that seems to have come out with Horizons. I'm going to do a video about that later, but in the meantime, notice that there is a new type of module for your internal compartments called a Planetary Vehicle Hanger. This is what you need for your SRVs. Just one thing to note, a couple of things to note about it. One is that they come in G's and H's in terms of their rating, and the G's and H, the G is lighter basically, and seems to use less power, but it's more expensive, and the H is cheaper, but it weighs more, so you have to work out which one you want. So that's the only seems to be the difference in the rating. And then the classes, they come in the even numbers, 2s, 4s and 6s, possibly 8s as well, though I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about that. But the 2 seems to hold 1 SRV, and the 4 seems to hold 2, so that is the difference. And they are pretty flimsy at the moment, so I would get more than one, especially if you're going deep space exploring. Couple more things to note about outfitting before we move on to the next section. One is that you can't at the moment outfit SRVs, although it's looking like there's going to be quite a few different types and different upgrades for them, so for now that's not in the game. At the moment, SRVs themselves don't take any mass, it's just the hanger itself, and also you might be wondering where the fabricator for the crafting system is and synthesizing materials. Well, that's already built into all your ships, so you don't have to worry about that either. And the last thing I'll say is I recommend getting some very light shields, even if you're going deep space exploring, because landing at the moment is a very difficult, touchy thing to do. Even if you're perfect, you're probably going to take some damage, which can accumulate over time. So now we go on to the new part of the game that's been added. It's called the crafting system, where you synthesize minerals into materials, and these materials have various perks and things they do. I'm not actually going to go into that now, but you should definitely look up what they do by reading it when you get the game. Well, I'm especially looking forward to the Jumponium, as Aramis has dubbed it, material that basically gives you a one-time massive jump boost, which is going to hopefully enable us to get to some really cool places that we haven't been able to get to before. But you can also craft awesome ammunitions and repair. You can repair things with it. There's a whole bunch of things coming, and it's going to be a whole system that's going to be greatly added to over the years, I guess. But basically, the way it happens is the buggy itself has a built-in wave scanner, that you don't have to buy or anything, at least at the moment. And your ship and your buggy have built-in fabricators that basically turn minerals into materials, which I'll go through in a second. So basically you find things by driving around in the buggy. You can't do it from space at the moment, but you will eventually, they say. And you wait for these little warbles and waves on the wave bar in front of the radar to start making noise and turning into like definite lines in certain directions, and then you head in those directions, and as you get closer it gets louder and the lines get narrower and more definite. You can find things like wreckages and dropped cargo, but you can also find rocks that you shoot and they burst into minerals. So both of these you collect by lowering your cargo scoop and driving over them, and remember you have to target them for it to work. With minerals you can hold up to 300, so they don't seem to take any mass. That's great. The fabricator is in the cargo tab of the status panel, and also the list of the minerals is here, and there's a list of all the materials you can craft either on the SRV itself or in the ship, and on the right you can see 3 boxes next to each material, and they for the 3 levels, and they will be highlighted if you can actually craft one at that level or more, so that helps. And if you click a material, it'll show you exactly what you need to craft it, and that it also let you craft it inside that screen if you have the materials. And it seems that the craft and the use of the material is in the same move, so you can't store materials, just the minerals themselves, which is fine because, as I say, they don't seem to take up any mass, which is awesome. And it seems there's a whole new system of mechanics coming, and we already know that some minerals are going to be very rare, only on special or even unique planets, and some of them are only found probably on the other side of the galaxy. Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. But also it sounds a bit dodgy, like some materials are just going to be impossible to craft. I don't know how it's going to work, but let's see what's coming. And also remember, the wave scanner can bring up other random stuff. It'll detect ships and buildings and things, and I'll go into like this new like placeholder mechanic that seems to be coming with some like bases you can find, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We're also told that you can find some very unique things, and also that the higher level materials are going to be especially hard to craft due to the rarity of the minerals. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to watch this space, but yeah, this is basically how you do it. So yeah, I'll leave it to you. Just remember one thing: you can find the minerals anywhere. There's no particular way of finding the right spots, but eventually I suppose the wiki is going to fill up with exactly what types of planets will have what types of materials, and there might even be like an abundancy rating for each planet and all that. So just watch this space basically. There seem to be some placeholders in the game, as I've mentioned, for things that aren't quite functional yet, but you can see that they're coming and you can sort of guess what they're going to do. For example, there's a device that you now have on your buggy called a data link scanner that currently does nothing. But from what I can see, it's going to be used to connect to what are called data points, which are these things that are these posts that are found at bases that you can target and you can shoot, and they take damage, although they won't blow up. And they can also appear at these random outposts, which again, I don't know what they're going to do and what the mechanic's going to be. But these random outposts you can find scattered across the planet just by looking. They won't show up on your radar and you can't really scan for them. But if you're flying around and you see a blue circle appear on the radar, land, and I'm sure you'll find an outpost there, or possibly other things. I haven't really delved too much into it. But at these outposts, you can find these data points, which, as I say, currently do nothing. And as you can see with these ones, they can be guarded by sentries, and you can get fined or take a bounty by the owning faction for destroying them or for shooting at them, and also for just trespassing on them. And also, like at the bases, as you can see here, there's like some other objects that are destructible. Some of them actually blow up. And they have names like fuel depot and power plants, and it looks like it's going to be some kind of mechanic for base control, player versus player, you know, things like that. It looks pretty fun to me. So that's it, that's my preliminary review. Spent about 3 hours on Horizons, and that's what I've been able to figure out so far, and hopefully it's been able to answer some of the questions you guys have been wanting to know, and possibly help some people on the beta who haven't quite been able to work out some things, because they haven't been able to stay up till 4:30 in the morning like me, because they got to work and stuff, and technically I do as well. I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow, but my primary duty is to you, my viewers. Anyway, Horizons has been extremely mind-blowing. I really love learning on planets. I am so excited about all the potential I can see in the game. It's got so many directions that it's going to be going. It's a whole new game already, and it's really brought back life to the game. Really has. Well done, Frontier. Can't wait till we can land on all planets. Can't wait to land on all the planets in the galaxy, which might take a while. But either way, so long, Space Cowboys.